Joining us now, Newt Gingrich. He has a new book out tomorrow, Understanding Trump, and, well, we need to understand that answer. So you're now volunteering to testify. Newt Gingrich joins us now. Newt, we got your old friend Raymond Arroyo with us, too. He's with us.
That's great. Hey, Raymond.
How are you, Newt?
So, Newt, what do you make of this comment by Trump on Friday that he was willing to testify, which I imagine came as a bit of a shock to his attorneys preparing for the special counsel?
I think two things. One, and this is part of why I wrote Understanding Trump, which is, by the way, not called Predicting Trump, which I think is impossible. I think that his entire career, he has always counterpunched, going all the way back to the page 6 days in New York. And so his automatic instinct, and it's so deep in him that it's not something he thinks about. He just does it. I think he also has never, his attorneys have not gotten across to him the difference between the kind of lawsuits Trump has had many of, which are civil and involve money, and being involved in a potential criminal case. Obviously, the standards are very different. And as we know from past special counsels, there's a standard rule in Washington that it's not the original problem that kills you, it's the process as they investigate. It's obstruction of justice, it's perjury, what have you. And I don't think, Trump is a guy who talks in big, sweeping ideas, and I don't think he understands fully. And for some reason, just as on other topics, his attorneys have not been able to get it across to him, that in a criminal proceeding, you of course know this better than I do, Laura, because you're a lawyer and I'm only a historian, but in a criminal proceeding environment, every single word matters because they're going to both measure it against your prior words, and they're going to measure it against everybody else who testifies, and they're going to measure it against every written document. And it's very easy to get yourself in a lot of trouble, even when you've done nothing wrong. Virtue and innocence are not guarantors of a good outcome in a criminal investigation.
Do you think, in what you've been reading and understand about the friendship between Mueller and Comey, along with other things, that this could be a really fair investigation of Trump and his associates?
I think that is impossible. This will be a witch hunt. I've started to go back and peel back the onion. Comey, for example, appointed Fitzpatrick to investigate the Valerie Plame case after Comey knew that it was not a crime and knew that, in fact, Richard Armitage of the State Department had revealed her name and knew that she was fairly well known around Washington by a number of people. After he knew all that, he appointed Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick, of course, told Armitage to shut up. And the country was put in this spectacle during the Bush re-election campaign. But you go back and look at that. Nobody in the city wants to look at history. You look at that and you say to yourself, Comey's a bad person. He kept from the country information he had, I think, for the purpose of trying to destroy Dick Cheney. And as you know, Scooter Libby ultimately was caught on
ruined his life, bankrupted him.
What he had said.
Yeah, bankrupt him.
Yeah, and they put a New York Times reporter. I've always been amazed at this. They put a New York Times reporter in jail for 85 days. Nobody seemed to complain because she said she had been wrong about weapons of mass destruction. So all of her fellow reporters thought, oh well, what's 85 days in jail?
Newt, I got to ask you about
It's just crazy.
Yeah, no, it's an outrage. But Mueller, Mueller's not Comey, but they're pals. And when you get special counsel, they usually indict somebody.
Mueller's first three hires are all people who donated to the Democratic
Party. They're serious. They're building up that team. Before we let you go, Newt, I got to ask you about Capitol Hill. I could talk to you for an hour. McConnell, Ryan, at this point, is it not the case that they need to pass legislation? Whatever they can get the votes for when it comes to health care and tax reform, they've got to put some points on the board.
That's right. It's that simple. And they need to pass a fair amount of legislation. The House has actually passed 200 and some bills, but the Senate, as you know, is a much different animal. But they just have got to get some things done before they go home for August.
And what would you do differently if you were up there?
I think you said it pretty well. I'd find what I can get the votes for, and I pass it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, look, this is the best we can do this year. We'll come back next year and try to do better, but I'm going to get something done.
Yeah, Reagan did the tax cut, then he did tax reform. Yeah.
I don't worry about tax reform. I worry about tax cuts.
Right.
They need to focus on jobs. They need to focus on the economy. They should pass a big infrastructure bill. They should do the kind of things they can do and give the country a sense of momentum.
Got to do it. You got to do it. Otherwise, right. You're part of the problem. They're part of the. Otherwise, they become part of the resistance. Newt Gingrich, his book "Understanding Trump," out tomorrow. You can buy it now, though. Newt, thank you so much as always. We'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. Byron York stops by. Don't go away.